Who was the emperor who built this army? Who was he, and why did he build such a massive army of terracotta warriors? Well, that's what we're gonna find out in today's video, so let's get started. Qin Shi Huang was the man who first unified China and founded the Qin dynasty, from which the country derives its name. He was a ruler of immense ambition, obsessed with immortality, spending a fortune in his quest to find an elixir of life. When he realized that death was inevitable, he decided to take an entire army with him to the afterlife for protection. That's a brief summary of the man and the reason for the Terra Cotta Army, but there's so much more to it. After conquering the other 6 kingdoms of China and establishing the Qin dynasty, Shi Huang became the first emperor of a unified China around 200 BC. His empire stretched from the Korean peninsula in the north to the South China Sea in the south, an area of around 10,000 square miles. That's around the size of the modern U.S. state of Tennessee. To put this into perspective, during this time, most of the world's empires were pretty small. The Roman Empire, for example, wouldn't reach its greatest extent for another 150 years. So given the size of his empire, it makes sense that he wanted to protect it, not only while he was alive, but also in the afterlife. But how could he possibly take an army of tens of thousands of soldiers with him to the grave? Well, the answer lies in the shallow pits just outside the main mausoleum. Here we find the beginnings of the army, the training grounds where the soldiers would have practiced before going off to war. But these soldiers never went to war because they were all buried here with their emperor. There are 3 main pits with over 8,000 soldiers. But the whole complex is so large that archaeologists believe there may be as many as 20,000 warriors here. Each warrior is unique, sculpted to be slightly different from the others, just like real soldiers. There are also archers, cavalrymen, and even elephants. It took 7,000 artisans 30 years to complete just the sculptures in these 3 pits. And that is not including the other 2 pits filled with horses or the countless workshops where the weapons and armor were made. The army was discovered accidentally in 1970 by a group of Chinese peasants digging a well. And since then, over 10,000 warriors have been excavated. They're so well preserved that it's easy to forget these are over 2,000 years old. But one of the craziest things about them is that they're actually made from slips of clay, not stone. This makes them incredibly fragile, yet somehow they've survived for thousands of years.